Okay, so you need to stop wasting money on Google Ads. The biggest mistake I see with hair transplant clinics is they think they need more leads when they actually need to convert more of the leads they're already paying for. You can generate 1,000 inquiries and still waste most of your ad spend if patients fall out at every stage. You have the ad, you have the inquiry, the contact, qualified, consultation, deposit, surgery. The goal isn't necessarily to generate 3 times more inquiries, it's to get 3 times more patients from the demand you're already creating. For example, if you're getting 1,000 inquiries and you're only getting 100 patients from that, how do we get 200 patients from that? So number one is we stop losing inquiries immediately after the ad. The first leak happens the moment someone submits an inquiry. Every Google Ads inquiry needs to enter a central system. No inquiry should rely on someone checking WhatsApp manually. Okay, it needs to be checked with the system. Every new lead needs clear ownership within the clinic. New inquiries should be separated from existing conversations. And the reason I say this is because when you have a new inquiry, you don't want it to get lumped in with all the other conversations. You want high interest prospects to be separate. The team needs visibility over every unanswered inquiry, and missed calls and unanswered messages should be treated as open opportunities. So basically what I'm saying here is that you need to stop losing inquiries. You have so many inquiries coming in. You need to learn how to not lose them by following up with them, by sending them the right messages, by keeping on top of them. So next thing is also the clinic should know exactly how many inquiries arrived versus how many were actually contacted, and you need to make sure you're measuring that and you're contacting all of them. Next is stop treating every lead like a patient. A click isn't a patient, and an inquiry isn't automatically a buyer. Create a clear distinction between inquiries, qualified prospects, and genuine surgery candidates. Identify the patients showing genuine intent to have a transplant. So the people who are genuinely interested, you want to identify them and put them in a separate list. And then you want to separate price shoppers and casual researchers from high intent prospects. So you want to make a separate list of people who are just browsing and people who are looking to get a hair transplant done. And also you want to make sure coordinators understand who deserves the most attention. So you need to train your team on understanding on who to give the most attention to. And also don't fill consultation slots with people who have no intention of moving forward. This is not something that you should do. And track the percentage of inquiries becoming qualified opportunities, so you know exactly how many of your inquiries are becoming buyers, and make qualification a measurable part of the patient acquisition process. So you need to understand how many people are actually qualified from all the inquiries you're generating. Next is stop letting interested patients disappear. This is where clinics can lose enormous amounts of potential revenue. Every patient who doesn't book immediately should have a follow-up status. Follow-up should continue beyond the first few messages, so you should always be following up with people in the right way. Different communication methods should be used throughout the patient journey. So when you're talking with people, you should make sure you're sending them videos, you should make sure you're sending them voice notes, different articles, before and after pictures, messages, phone calls, getting through to them in a different way. Old inquiries should remain visible. Most people forget about old inquiries, but it's very important that you don't forget about them. You keep them in the list and you keep reaching out to them with a different follow-up structure. And you have to make sure that your CRM tells you exactly when to reach out to people, because it's very hard to manage. Patients who asked for prices should still have a defined follow-up path. So people who have asked for a price, you should have a path for them. Patients who weren't ready today should be re-engaged later. So people who are not ready, you should reach out to them at a specific time with a message, with a video, with a call. Calls work the best. The clinic should be able to identify every lead that hasn't received a recent follow-up. So for every person who hasn't received a recent follow-up, you need to make sure you understand how to identify who that is and reach out to them accordingly. And to stop measuring the wrong numbers. A cheap lead means nothing if that lead never becomes a surgery. So you want to track inquiry to contact conversion. You want to track the contact to how many are qualified conversion. So for example, maybe 100 contacted and 50 are qualified. That would be 50%. And then track the qualified to consultation. So from how many people are qualified to how many people get on the consultation, and then how many people attend the consultation to pay a deposit. So if you have 10 people on a consultation, how many pay the deposit? and you need to track that as well, and then track the numbers from the deposit to the surgery and track that conversion, and then calculate the actual cost of acquiring a complete patient, not just the cost of the inquiry, the cost of the patient, and then find the biggest drop-off point. So in all the entire process from here to here to here to here to here to all the way from the inquiry to the surgery, where are people dropping off? And before you increase the ad spend, you need to find out where those people are dropping off. And number 5 is to build a machine before you scale the traffic. Once the leaks are fixed, your advertising becomes much more valuable. Give coordinators clear ownership of the pipeline, so every single person should understand exactly who they're messaging, exactly what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, who they're messaging, what times they're messaging, what dates they're messaging. Everything should be presented to them in a very easy manner. You shouldn't need a 10 out of 10 employee to do this. Even if just an average person has the best system, they can make magic happen. And next is to give the team defined performance targets around patient conversion. So you need to make sure that you know exactly what their targets are every single day, how many people they need to be reaching out to, what follow-up sequences they should be following, and what people they need to be talking to every day. And make the CRM the source of truth for every patient. And next is to review lost and stalled opportunities every day. So every day you have a specific person who's going through, looking at the people who never replied and making sure they get replied to, and build enough follow-up capacity to handle increased inquiry volume. So you need to make sure that you have the systems, the CRM, and the people, and the SOPs, and everything in place, the operations in place, so that when you spend more money on ads, when you spend more money on Google Ads, you have enough people, you have enough systems to handle all of those inquiries, because more inquiries requires more work. And also reinvest. Where are we? Reinvest into advertising only when the back end can handle additional demand. So when you realize that your systems, your people, your team can handle more demand, then you increase your advertising. Otherwise, there's no point increasing the advertising, because you're just going to be spending more money. You have to imagine it like this. If you only have one person who's replying to WhatsApp, replying to email, sending out videos, it's going to be very impossible for that person to manage another 100 leads, because it's practically impossible to do all the follow-up and reach out to everyone. And what's going to happen is those leads, you're going to lose them, and they're going to go to another clinic. Next is the objective is to extract more surgeries from every pound you put into advertising. So as much as you spend, you want to take more. So you only should increase your advertising spend when the back end is built and is concrete and tight and perfect. And the reason you need to do that is because if you don't tighten up your processes, tighten up your systems, it's not going to work out well for you, because you're going to end up wasting lots and lots of money. And next is the core idea. If you're generating 1,000 inquiries but only turning 100 into surgeries, don't immediately go and buy another 100 inquiries. You need to fix where the leaks are. Where is it leaking in your business? If you can improve every stage of the inquiry, the contact, qualification, consultation, deposit, and surgery, you can potentially create dramatically more patients without needing the same proportional increase of ad spend. More traffic isn't always the answer. You need to make sure every process of your system is optimized. And if you need more help, book a call with me. And also, sometimes you need to stop losing the traffic you're already paying for. You're already paying so much money for traffic, you need to convert more of it into inquiries.